Salutations, friends. My name is Brianna Bond, otherwise known as No Ordinary Scholar, and if you, like me, I'm not afraid to admit it, I've done this. If you've ever criticized Disney for the way their romances are portrayed, that love at first sight, that get married after knowing you for 2 days, if you've ever criticized them for doing that, you raise your hand. Now use that hand to cover your mouth. Because Disney was right. They were right all along. You thought that all their planning and all their high-tech knowledge about the works they do, you thought that started with Marvel? No. And that started way back in the day.
Hey guys, do you know that really old movie, The Little Mermaid?
Side note, I know that's a decently old movie, but I'm never going to be comfortable with that bit. Tom Holland is older than I am. Spider-Man is barely younger than I am. He should know these things. But I digress. Now, you see, let's go over a quick summary for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about. So, The Little Mermaid, the first time you get the two main characters, the romantic leads, in a scene together, it is when Prince Eric, I don't know what they were doing. I guess they went out to a Costco run and it took a little bit longer than they were expecting. So they're on the ship back. An irony storm comes in and it wrecks the ship. He goes back to save his dog. The entire ship explodes. Somehow he survives. And so Ariel goes into the waters near the ship to save him.
In the moment where she is in the
moment where she brings him back onto land and he is safe, they see each other and they both fall in love. Ariel makes a deal with some salty calamari so that way she can go up onto land, but in exchange she has to give up her voice. People think that it's super duper shallow that Prince Eric fall in love and want to marry Ariel even though she didn't have a voice. She had no means of speaking. They had no means of discussing things. People think that's super shallow of him. I mean, how can you fall in love with someone if you don't even know their name? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Well, I'm here not only to tell you that it is possible, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but I'm also here to tell you that it is realistic. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If you don't know what all the winking and nudging is for, please check out my Patreon account. There's a lot of secret shenanigans going on over there, and unless you're a patron, you're not going to be able to find out for a couple more months. Wink, wink. Okay, my eye is actually starting to hurt. Moving on. Okay, not moving on quite yet, because I'm actually working on those secret shenanigans right here on this tablet. But you can't see because of glare. What I mean is that there is a scientific reason why someone in this situation would have actually fallen in love. That reason is called misattribution of arousal. Now that everyone's had their time to giggle, let me explain to you what misattribution of arousal is. Misattribution of arousal is the idea that your senses are heightened by something that is not sexual and does not cause necessarily a sexual feeling. So let's say you're in the shower, you hear a noise, you're aroused, you're triggered by that completely normal, completely understandable fear that there's someone in your house ready to murder you. That is a sense of arousal. Now,
misattribution of arousal.
God, I cannot say this term. Why did I do this video? Misattribution of arousal would be if someone else happened to be there. I mean, if you're in the shower with them, how much are you really misinterpreting? Forget the shower scene. Let's actually talk about it with an actual experiment that was done. So, we have two experimental groups of men, and one woman, I believe it was one woman who's interviewing these men. Now, group A, they interviewed on the side of the street, something like that. Something simple, something calm, something safe. Group B interviewed on a rickety-ass bridge over a deep crevice in the earth in which if the bridge were to collapse, you would die, certainly. People in Group B, the group that was over that, death hole, they were a lot more likely to, unprompted, I believe, ask out the interviewer to ask her on a date than the group who was just in like the safe side of the road, like on solid ground group. The idea is that they're misplacing the arousal of being in that scary situation, confusing that arousal for sexual arousal because someone of the gender that they are attracted to is in the atmospheres in the situation. Okay, but how does this actually pertain to the actual movie? I mean, remember how they met people. She was seeing humans for the first time. That was trippy. And then this like giant wooden death machine just starts falling apart, catching fire and exploding. She's probably pretty tripped out. She's probably tripping out hard right now. Eric was on the wooden death machine, saw like kegs upon kegs of gunpowder right about to explode, and suddenly wakes up with what she probably looked like an angel. He probably thought he was dead when he saw her, and then he found out this angel is now alive. That probably tripped him out as well. And there's no way to argue that even if like misattribution of arousal is a real thing, that doesn't necessarily mean that the Disney writers knew that. A shipwreck, an exploding fire death machine of a boat, that's a pretty intense way to have a couple meet, don't you think? Like, that's a lot. That's super unnecessary. When you have a man who's already on a ship, and you have a woman who is just obsessed with human beings, she was right there anyway. They could have met without having to have the shipwreck. But would they have fallen in love? Would he have fallen in love with her if it weren't for the fact that they had the shipwreck? If misattribution of arousal is the reason why he did fall in love with her, then had that shipwreck not happened when he first saw her, he might have tried to catch her. He might have tried to harpoon her and bring her back as a prize. And I know there was a scene where like one of his people brings him a statue of him and it makes him look like a conqueror, and he just doesn't seem to feel in it. That's probably supposed to be like, he would never want to just like mercilessly kill people. He had to do something to get the trophy in the first place. I'm just like, he may not be genocidal, but he done killed a couple people. He had to kill a couple people to get that statue. Please don't play me. No games with me. And that's not even an uncommon idea to use. In the concept isn't even just unheard of either. I know in the TV show iCarly, you had the outstanding Freddie Benson, who he was in love with Carly for the entirety of the show. But then one day, Carly finds herself literally almost in between a taco truck and a hard place. So before the truck can hit her, Freddie jumps in and saves her, because what else is a man going to do for the woman he's in love with? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, guys. But yeah, he jumps in front of the truck, saves her, breaks like half of his body doing so. Now suddenly Carly's just absolutely in love with Freddie. Cool. How did I just remember all of this? I may or may not have had a DVD disc set or 3, but that's beside the point. So yeah, Carly's now in love with Freddie, but Freddie decides he wants to cut off the relationship because, in summary, he wants to make sure that if she loves him for him and not for what he did for her, not for that situation. But do we ever see them get back together? No. In fact, we actually do see him get together with Carly's other best friend, Sam. Another relationship we can actually argue is another situation of misattribution of arousal, misattributing their regular frustration and anger with each other for sexual tension. Because you haven't heard that before, I'm sure. But no, the reason why neither of these relationships worked out was because Nathan Kress should have been with me the entire time. I can't say that? No. I mean, the relationships didn't work out because the characters were not in relationships based on real romantic attraction. There was no real romantic chemistry there. But Eric and Ariel stayed together. So there's at least some real romantic interest there. The situation for them is a little different in terms of, one, he was being pressured to get married. They basically got married immediately after like Ursula was killed. And this is a time when divorce wasn't really an option, so you kind of just make it work at that point. They also had a kid relatively soon after, which again, you kind of just make it work in those times for. There's also just no rule saying that you can't fall in love with someone just because the relationship started as misattribution of arousal either. One last question. What's an iCarly? Is that like a watch? Was that like an older iPhone type thing? No, I'm done. Y'all play too much. Finish the video, you damn self. I don't. Well, I guess if she's gone, this is my job now. Fine. Thanks for listening, I guess. What does she have? Instagram, Facebook, the website noordinaryscholar.com. She links them down below. And she also have a Patreon account. She kept talking about that one earlier, so you know that's also gonna be down there. Let us know in the comment sections what videos you want to see. Let us know in the... Why did she leave? And tell us, like, how's your summer been, I guess. Bye, guys. Valedictions, friends.